Testing, testing. Okay, we're going to start in a minute here, council members. If you could just get yourself set up and go to your chairs and we'll start up. Thank you. All right, welcome to everybody. Before we start the meeting, a couple quick public service announcements. For an emergency, please note the exits on either side of the chambers and proceed down the stairs. Bathrooms are located out the door to my left, women's room to the right, men's room is to the left. We allow 30 minutes for public speaking. If you have not done so already, please sign up either through the Zoom chat or at the podium. Please note the council does have rules of decorum for our meetings, including the public speaking portion of the meeting. We ask that respect be shown to all, whether they serve on the council, on the staff, or are here as a public member. Not only are we here tonight to listen to the voices of the public, but we are also here to run government proceedings. In order to best serve us all, we cannot have any distractions throughout the meeting. When this body proceeds with the business of the day, we also need to have no disruptions during this portion. I am now calling this Common Council meeting to order at 7:34 p.m. on November 6th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Pasty?
Here.
Alderman Frankel?
Here.
Alderman Scott Childress?
Here.
Alderman Worthington? Alderman Mohammed?
Here.
Alderman Dennison?
Here.
Alderman Andrews? Alderman Shabbat?
Here.
Alderman Hirsch?
Here. We have a quorum. Can I have a motion to dispense with the meetings of the previous meeting and approve
Second.
same motion by Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Can I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the general
Motion.
bills? Motion by Rita Worthington, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We're now entering into public speaking portion of the meeting. We have allotted 30 minutes for this purpose. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Please be aware that I will give a verbal 30-second warning. If there are remaining speakers after 30 minutes, I will call for a motion from the council to extend the period for another 30 minutes. Speakers, please direct your comments to the chair, as council members cannot engage in debate during this time. Please state your name and address on the record before you begin your speech. For the audience in chambers and on Zoom, there could be no distractions when a speaker is addressing the council. The Common Council has also received written comments for our consideration, and they could be found on the city's website under tonight's agenda. We did have 2 folks sign up ahead of time, and they are both virtual. So we will go to the 2 speakers who signed up virtually first, then go to who signed up at the podium, and then open up the floor. First speaker, please.
Kat Kerwin?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please state your name and your address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Kat Kerwin. My address is 412 Soydam Street, Brooklyn, New York. I am a legal fellow at Local Progress Impact Lab. Local Progress Impact Lab is a nonprofit organization that brings together local leaders, partners, and experts to build the knowledge, skills, and leadership needed to advance racial and economic justice at the local level. In particular, Local Progress Impact Lab has significant experience working on issues of home rule and state preemption, specifically in the area of local policymaking. We conducted legal analysis in connection with the question of whether Resolution 204 is preempted by New York state law. Pursuant to our analysis, our conclusion is that this resolution is permissible under state law. The New York State Constitution affirms the power of local governments to make laws securing the rights, powers, privileges, and immunities granted to them. These rights, powers, privileges, and immunities are to be liberally construed, and local legislation enjoys a strong presumption of validity. Despite these broad powers, local laws must be consistent with the state constitution and general state law to avoid preemption. Resolution 204 is entirely consistent with state law. New York Consolidated Laws, Labor Law, Section 815 provides only suggested standards for apprenticeship agreements. The term suggested is operative here and indicates that local governments have the authority to adopt their own standards for apprenticeship agreements as relevant to their local context. Furthermore, New York courts have routinely upheld laws where municipalities set higher standards for city contracts than those set by the state. There's a whole line of cases. McMillan versus Brown is just the first one that comes to mind. Resolution 204 is also not preempted by state procurement law because Labor Law Section 1816B expressly cites Statute Section 103, the New York law that governs advertising for public contracts, and thus expressly authorizes local governments to require apprenticeship requirements despite Section 103. Further, New York law requires contracts be
30
awarded
seconds.
not only to the lowest possible bidder, but also the lowest responsible bidder. Given this discretion, the argument that the resolution has the possibility of leading the contracts being awarded to higher bidders without any recognition of the apprenticeship requirements resulting in a more responsible bid is without merit. And finally, I know I'm running low on time. I'll say quickly that other cities have passed similar policies creating apprenticeship graduation
Thank you. Your time
rates,
is up. Thank you.
including South Brunswick, New Jersey, Oakland,
Thank
Fresno.
you. Your time is up. Next speaker, please.
Jean Jacobs.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Jean. We could hear you. If you could just state your name and record, and then I'll start the 3 minutes.
Absolutely. My name is Jean Jacobs. I live at 139 Wall Street, Kingston, New York. I'm a lifelong resident, born and raised here. Good evening, Madam President, members of the Common Council. Unfortunately, I cannot be there this evening, but I'm calling in support of Local Law 160, protecting our general contractors, developers, and their employees from unions. I am somewhat disturbed that here tonight I am at the third meeting that relates to this subject, which is critically important to our community. I'm all about collaboration at the table, working together for the betterment of our community. I'm known for that. Unfortunately, we're at this juncture tonight where we have to decide on this local law, which in fact our mayor vetoed, which is again extremely disturbing to me as a lifelong resident. Why? Why do we have to divide our community? I have listened to Valerie Arrell Dwyer speak at the Laws and Rules. She presented her facts eloquently, without question, expressing the fact that the savings for taxpayers was monumental. And therefore, the students, we need the apprentice program here. We need to bring the students back here to our community. So therefore, all of you that serve on the Common Council, you serve the community. That's why you were elected. Therefore, I know some want more education, more information. The information is before you this evening. You have to make a decision on this local law, which is going to impact and affect Arrow Construction, who has served our community for over 50 years. I could go into a litany of things they have accomplished. So in good justice tonight, I urge all of you to consider voting for this local law 160 and protect our community and keep all of their employees employed and recognize the importance of their family and all of the
30
residents
seconds.
in the city of Kingston. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Nate Horowitz.
So you might need to just make sure that the mic is on before you go. Rita, can you just turn that?
Hello, thank you.
And then if you could just state your name and
Nate
address for the record.
Nate Horowitz, 3 Clarendon Avenue. Good evening, my name is Nathaniel Horowitz. I speak to you tonight from the unique position as a homeowner, business owner, former alderman, and currently a City of Kingston Water Commissioner. I implore the council tonight to keep the steel in your spine and override the veto. Send a message to the mayor that the days of the Common Council being a rubber stamp for his political machine are over, forcing the City of Kingston to become a closed shop where only union companies would be able to work, not only drive up the cost of infrastructure projects, but also stifle competitions. Why should local companies that support our local community not be able to bid on work here in the City of Kingston? My final point, in the event of an emergency or vital infrastructure failure, local city department heads should be able to pick up the phone and call someone that can fix the problem and be 2 minutes away instead of being from a different area code. When the city water main breaks in February in the Esopus Creek, is a union boss going to pick up the phone at 2 a.m.? Probably not. So do what's right for the city, its taxpayers, and the local businesses that support the community, and override the mayor's veto tonight without delay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Tom Peterson.
And please just state your name and address, please.
My name is Tom Peterson. I live in Lake Tree, New York. Good evening. I've worked for Arrow Construction for over 30 years. I've heard rumors questioning about the safety of our company. I want to acknowledge that our apprenticeship program is the only one that I know of that uses a company safety record to determine whether or not they are eligible to join our company. Outside of our apprenticeship program, I want to acknowledge that our company does more safety training than any other company I know. We shut down for a full week every year to do 40 hours of safety training. On top of that, our management always sets a tone from the top that safety trumps everything regardless of cost. Their concern for our employees is one of the many reasons that we have employees that are lifelong employees for this company. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Charlene Martin.
I'm Charlene Martin. My address is 34 Heritage Court in the City of Kingston. I am a resident, a landlord, and a business owner in the City of Kingston. I'm here tonight in regard to the Common Council vote to override the mayor's veto of the Resolution 160. As a taxpayer, it's very disheartening to hear all the factual numbers produced from open bids that will cause unnecessary increases in large projects in the city if this is not amended. It is fiscally responsible to allow this resolution to proceed, knowing we're allowing competitive bids from reputable, competent, and most importantly, local contractors. I've been closely monitoring the Dietz Stadium project since the work commenced in August. I reached out to Jack Schoonmaker, the project manager for the city, and I emailed my alderman, Rennie. I'm realistic about the need for the updates, the enhancements, and the overhaul of the stadium, but I do feel that the city lacked sympathy and input in regards to the school district and, most importantly, the children involved. The negative impact this project has brought on the school district is very harmful. From sports to band and many extracurricular activities, there is a very evident and selfish void. My daughter is a senior at Kingston High School this year. There is an endless list that has lost in her class. Most importantly, their graduation will not occur at Dietz Stadium. We know that is a fact. The decades of graduations before them, they will not get to experience. Her class has suffered endless disappointments starting with COVID and most recently, the attempt of homecoming at Kingston High School. My point is, please do not add insult to injury to allow this project to go over budget. The taxpayers are done absorbing the bills of bad decisions. We already have inflated costs for Dietz, and now we have a promised end date, and I can only hope that that field is usable for the district in August 2024, as we've so been promised. I was born and raised in Kingston. My husband and I chose to stay here to raise our children. I hope it will always be home base for them and as well as us. Resolution 160 benefits the city and its taxpayers. The veto of said resolution by the mayor
30
needs
seconds.
to be overturned. I would like to think we are ethical and intelligent in our financial decisions for this city. I cannot think of a legitimate argument in the veto's defense that does not question the integrity of the tax burden ultimately passed down to us. And I would like to thank all the alderpersons that took the time to research this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Ryan Dybert.
Name and record, and then I'll start the clock.
Ryan Dybert, 46 Heritage Court, Kingston. Good evening. My name is Ryan Dybert. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Kingston. My wife and I chose to stay here and raise our children. We also own 2 businesses in the city of Kingston. I'm asking the Common Council to please override the mayor's veto tonight. Local businesses are the heartbeat of our community. They employ our residents, and they support our local charities, youth programs. As I'm a baseball coach, it's the names on the local businesses that I see on those signs that are sponsor our kids year after year. It's absolutely insane to me that you would ask these same businesses and our residents to pay more money in taxes so that we can pass a law that shuts the door in their faces. Please do what's right for the city and the taxpayers and override the mayor's veto. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Daniel Atona.
Hi, name and record, or name and address for the record, and I'll start the clock.
Daniel Atona. I live in 116 College Ave in the city of Poughkeepsie. Hi, Common Council and Council President Shout. Like I said, I live in Poughkeepsie, but I work and organize here in the city of Kingston. Workers across the state and country have been showing their power this year. In Japan, UAW workers went on strike and won an improved contract with huge raises. In New York City, Screen Actors Guild workers are still out on the picket line fighting corporate greed. Right here in Kingston, the Howmet Aerospace workers are on strike. Working class people are demanding the pay and benefits they deserve. The rising cost of living is a crisis. Strong unions are the solution. I'm a proud union member in United for the Many, which is a local of Workers United upstate New York. As a union member, I am absolutely disgusted that the council is considering an anti-union proposal. I am completely opposed to removing the apprenticeship guidelines for construction projects. Contractors that participate in apprenticeship programs produce higher quality work, and they do it on time and on budget. The city should not be doing any business with non-union contractors. I'll repeat, the city should not be doing any business with non-union contractors. Let's be clear. An anti-union proposal is an anti-worker proposal, and you don't want to be anti-worker because workers are the majority. According to the polling firm Gallup, in 2023, the public approval rating for unions is 67%. An AFL-CIO poll found that 71% support for unions. Think about that before you vote against working class people. Solidarity forever.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Dan Gruner.
Name and address, please.
Good evening, Dan Gruner. I live on Main Street in Kingston. There has been talk for years now about a housing crisis in Kingston, of which I've witnessed firsthand. 7 years ago, I tried to refinance my house on Main Street to secure a line of credit, and it was denied because there was not enough value in the home. Fast forward 4 years later in 2020, houses start selling for $300,000, then $400,000, then $500,000, then $600,000. And that number continues to go up. It's just not public yet. Why do I share this? I ask myself all the time, how does a young teacher and her husband buy a house in Kingston right now? It's not feasible. Why else do I share this? We taxpayers are continuously burdened with more and more costs, and there's really not much more we can take in the current environment. When I last left the Common Council meeting, I left confident that each of you would do the right thing. And I also felt confident that you would fulfill your fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, and you did just that by voting 8-1. That vote was vetoed days later by the mayor. I'd strongly encourage you to do the same tonight and vote to amend the resolution. Lastly, I've asked many taxpayers why the mayor would veto something that would increase participation in our bids to enable local contractors to bid on city jobs. And without having the right to bid, it has been illustrated to the Common Council what it will ultimately increase the cost to us taxpayers. Not one taxpayer had an answer to this strong-handed veto. Ultimately, I would ask of you, as our representatives, the same question. Why did the mayor do this? You have an opportunity to make this right, and ultimately you have an opportunity to provide the taxpayers an answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Philip Guerreri.
Hi, name and address, please, and I'll start. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
28 Beats Court, Kingston. Contracts over $100,000, is that what I read in the paper that has to be unionized? That's like saying $10,000. You got to be unionized. We need employment. We need a green economy. You know green? Like M-O-N-E-Y? Like green, like organic foods? I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor, proudly. We need an economy. I've been talking about this for 30 years. We have $365,000 for a Pentagon military weapon for our police. When have police ever prevented a crime? They show up after the crime. And in tonight's paper, guilty of murder, intentional murder. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Dean Tamburni.
Good evening, Dean Tambori. I'm from Newburgh, New York. I'm in the Ulster County School Districts, though. I was on the school board there for 9 years. There was over $50 million worth of work at the schools. There was apprenticeship language on it. Never had an issue with bidders or anything. They came in, if they didn't have an agreement, whatever, they would hire the local people. And they had a good experience with the local people and the apprentices that we had supplied them. Recently, there was a contractor, he came down from out of the area. We had supplied them with workers. They said some of the best workers they've had, all local people from Ulster County that are in apprenticeship programs. From the, at our facility in Newburgh, they're there all the time. They're there 2-3 nights a week. They're served dinner, whatever. They have a good relationship with the instructors. They do a lot of hands-on, as opposed to a company that's out of Syracuse, New York. I don't know how they accomplish that. We can work together. We can work together with just about anybody. We supply labor. Both of our apprenticeship program is governed by union and management trustees to build the local, to build the future workforce. We get calls all the time from local BOCES, school districts, to put the kids in these programs, which is a great program, but we need the work to keep them working all the time. Since our inception in 1995, we had 469 apprentices enrolled. There's a 45% graduation rate with 161 minority and females. And currently there's 32 minority and females in the program. Our guidelines as well are above the state standards that the state requires. It requires more, and that was passed by the governs of the fund. The contractors award the work, and we've seen that there was a lower bid that was a union contractor, but it shouldn't be union, non-union. We can work together. We supply labor. We have good labor. We do it all the time throughout the 3 county areas. It gives everybody an opportunity to work wherever throughout the Hudson Valley. So I don't know why we can't do this. We should keep the mayor. He is correct. It should have been vetoed, and I hope all you would just leave the bill alone as it is vetoed. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Val Dwyer.
Name and address, and I'll start the clock.
Val Dwyer, Kingston, New York. Good evening. I'm a city resident and president of Arrold Construction. Our employees are here tonight. However, we have decided, out of respect for your time, we will not repeat anything that's already been said multiple times. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Common Council, who has taken the time to listen to all sides of this issue. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the mayor, because all of my emails to him earlier this year were ignored. Even when a former alderman chimed in and shared their mutual concerns, I thought that might get his attention, but that email was ignored too. His silence was actually what prompted me to back up my statements with facts from that FOIL request, hoping that that would get his attention. However, he has failed to acknowledge these facts. He ignores them like they don't exist, similar to my emails. And now, he's ignoring the Common Council by vetoing an 8-1 vote that he has failed to give a good reason for. Because he is not more qualified than the state to determine the quality of an apprenticeship program. And also because he's asking you to lean on a resolution at the county that hasn't even taken effect yet. I will remind you again that the city of Kingston is currently the only municipality in the entire state that has this 3-5 rule. There's a reason for that. It stifles competition and increases costs significantly, which I have already proven. I have also shared with some of you a written response from the Department of Labor that states they are unable to verify any of the information you are requiring in last year's resolution, which leaves me to question, how will the city enforce this? This is not political. This is about what's right for the city, for the local businesses, and for all of the taxpayers. Without an override tonight, the city will continue to shut out workers, local workers, and more importantly, with each project that is bid, we will continue to waste unnecessary taxpayer money at a time when the people you represent are already struggling with the increased cost of food, fuel, and utilities. We learn as early as middle school about the importances of checks and balances in government, and I'm hoping tonight that the City Council will make this right and vote to override the veto. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Ben Wolcott.
Hi, good evening. Benjamin Wolcott. I live at 572 Broadway. I'm a Kingston resident, and I'm also Assembly Member Sarahana Shresta's Chief of Staff. On behalf of Sarahana, I'm here to stand shoulder to shoulder with my union siblings against Resolution 160. From our conversations with the unions, it's clear that there is sincere willingness on their end to sit down and discuss changes to address unintended consequences from last year's apprenticeship reform. The turnout tonight in support of robust apprenticeship requirements reflects that the decision Kingston makes tonight is important not just to the unions impacted, but to worker empowerment and protections in general. Apprenticeship programs are a pathway to family-sustaining careers. When this city builds, it should choose contractors that have proven to be reliable partners in investing in Kingston's working class, instead of prioritizing just short-term profits. There are solutions out there. I urge the Common Council to have the necessary conversations to develop and adopt them. Repealing the core of last year's apprenticeship reforms would be a massive step backwards for the working people of our city. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Scott Denny.
Name and address, and I'll start the clock.
Yes, good evening. My name is Scott Denny, Kingston, New York. Good evening, Madam President, members of the Common Council. Again, my name is Scott Denny, and as a resident of the city of Kingston, I've come to stand in total support of Local Law 160. First, it is deeply concerning that while Mayor Noble created this resolution, by design, it locked out non-union contractors, many of whom are constituents and possibly even your neighbors. Simultaneously, Mayor Noble had also been accepting generous campaign contributions from the unions with a most recent total of $13,550, raising the question of ethics once again, which Mayor Noble is very familiar with. It is important for everyone here this evening and our residents to understand that Resolution 160 merely creates a level playing field for both the unions and the open shop contractors. Looking back to last week, Alderman Frankel put this situation in perspective, pointing out that our program meets the standards of the state of New York, leaving absolutely no reason for change. Tonight, I would urge the council to immediately override the mayor's veto and not carry his water any longer and return a vote of 9-0. In the end, as a candidate for mayor, I also believe that independently and outside of City Hall, our open shop contractors and the unions can and should find common ground for the good of all concerned. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Dino. Last name starts with an N. He's our last speaker.
Is there anybody else? That was all we have on the list, but is there anybody else in chambers who would like to speak? Come on up. If there's anybody on Zoom who would like to speak, raise your Zoom hands and we'll add you too. Yep, I'll take as we just go on. So name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Michael Ham. I live on 220 East Chester Street in the city of Kingston. I'm a lifelong resident here, along with 3 generations of my family. So misinformation, disinformation, and fear-mongering. That's what I'm listening to. A lot of misinformation has been provided to this council. A lot of disinformation has been spoke about. And fear-mongering, I don't even know. I think we just got, accused of not being able to get somebody an increased line of credit on their home. Where does it stop? We started this conversation strictly under the pretense that it was about graduating people from a program. It's not a non-union union issue. It's about the program. The Merit Alliance has a non-graduation rate of a program. The 30% rule that's that's in the state, okay, is at the inception of the program. Therefore, in 1998, if they graduated 3 out of 5 people, they never had to graduate anyone ever again. We put a lot of commitment into graduating our people. We put a lot of time and energy through instructors, a lot of money, okay, to make sure they're the best trained, the best skilled, and the safest people that are out there. No one is accusing any other company of not putting their best foot forward to do the same. We're saying that the program itself that is being presented to you from the opposition does not do what it provides. A program is not a program if you do not graduate anyone. Graduation is the heart and soul of an apprenticeship program. It's here to train people for the future. That's what we are advocating on behalf. We are not here talking about whether or not there's lateral competition out there in the city of Kingston, okay? We're not talking about whether or not, okay, we disrupt the apple cart where somebody gets mad and maybe they don't come to bid when we have an emergency job. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a program. The narrative has been created, and it's being carried throughout the land now, okay, that it is against one business, and that's not true. This apprenticeship program is a broad brushstroke. It
30
encompasses
seconds.
35 different trades, not just one, not just one. And that will train people for the future to work here in the city of Kingston, okay, to buy homes, to put their kids through school, and to go on, you know, whatever they need to do for money. It's bona fide programs. It's a graduation rate for a program. Don't be misled that it's anything but that. I would appreciate you supporting and upholding the mayor's veto. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Dino.
Can you say your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Dino Nguyen. I live at 12 Catherine Street, Newburgh, New York. And so I'm a concerned citizen, a member of the Mid-Hudson Valley DSA Labor Working Group co-chair as well, and then a local union member of Workers United. And, I find it distressing that the majority of city council would veto, apprenticeship guidelines for development. This limits the opportunity for good union jobs to be created. And I'm completely against removing the apprenticeship guidelines for construction projects. Contractors that participate in apprenticeship programs, they produce greater work and to do it, on time, on budget. And as well as that, the city should not be doing any business with non-union contractors, only dealing with union contractors, only dealing with members of unions who are here to actually create, a good city, create a good working product. And I'll repeat again that this city should not be doing any business with non-union contractors.
Jim. Name and address, please.
James Shaughnessy, 11 Delta Place, Kingston. I don't have written comments, so I hope I'm coherent. Last weekend, I drove to Buffalo, New York with a colleague from Ulster BOCES to the New York State School Boards Association. She works at the Labor Department, New York State Labor Department. I had asked her to look into this question of apprenticeship programs, and she says that the apprenticeship programs in New York State are behind, are one of the lowest, least effective in the country, behind West Virginia. I also, just what I've heard in conversation before you, Arrold Construction has 40 employees and has apprentices. I'm told that 825 has 9,000 employees, in New York and New Jersey and 30 apprentices. The likelihood of you getting an apprentice working on the city of Kingston is much higher if Arrold Construction wins the job than if a union contractor wins the job. And you just think about that. It's not, I heard a lot last time about wanting to provide employment opportunities to Kingston residents or Ulster County residents. Go with the local contractors. I think it's much more likely that you'll be having Kingston residents, Ulster County residents, working as apprentices if you do that. Thank you very much.
Tom O'Brien, business manager for Local 21.
I'm sorry, everybody was clapping, so can you say name and address again, please?
Excuse me?
Can you just say that again because we missed it? Name and address.
Tom O'Brien, Washingtonville, New York, 125 Lincolndale Acres. I'm the business manager for Local 21, plumbers and steam fitters. First, I want to say Arrow also travels outside of the area too, so they're taking jobs away from local people and other. So that's a stupid argument that we're having in this sense. People work and wherever they're going to go, and then we have multiple people. And our apprenticeship is far from West Virginia. We spend over $1 million a year on our training. I have one kid right here who's a local resident. He just got done with this 7-week program. So again, I'm going back over to that. I agree with what Mike Ham saying. It's not a union, non-union issue. If Arrow has the apprenticeship program, they can bid the projects. There's nothing stopping them from bidding that. And there will be people coming up from Albany or wherever else because they have apprenticeship programs. So if you go to having no apprenticeship program, then people are going to come from all over the area. It doesn't matter. Any county, they'll be doing it. So the bottom line is you want protection, and that's what we teach in apprenticeship programs, the right way to do certain things. And we hone in on refrigeration, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and steam fitting. So the kids know exactly what their trade is, not a part here, you're an electrician today, you laborer tomorrow, carpenter, and you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Are there any other speakers? We are out of the 30 minutes, so can I have a motion to extend another 30 minutes? Motion by Naima Mohammed, second by Rita Worthington. All in favor to extend public hearing, public speaking? Opposed? All right, we're doing another 30 minutes. You can come on up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Chris Donovan from Lake Katrina, New York. As Tom mentioned, I'm a first-year apprentice. I just finished 7 weeks of schooling. These are all the training and safety certifications I achieved in 7 weeks. Because of the training of Local 21, I was able to save my local church hundreds of dollars by fixing a plumbing problem with 7 weeks of school training. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, and there's no one else on Zoom, I will now close public speaking for the evening. Thank you, everybody. All right, we now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I get a motion to dispense with the second reading of the general bills and pay same? Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Carl Frankel. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We're now entering into the report of committees, starting with resolution number 160.
Resolution 160 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending Section 1 of Resolution 204 of 2022.
Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Just a point of order. Can you clarify what a yes vote means, what a no vote
Yeah, I was going
means?
to do that. I could do that now, and I'll do it again. So a yes vote would be to override the mayor's veto, and a no vote would be not to override the mayor's veto, which after we open up the floor, I will state that again so it's clear. Okay? Did you want to speak? Anybody want to speak on the question? Alderman Carl Frankel.
To be clear, you're asking me to speak about my position on overriding the veto. Is the time now for that, or are we doing?
That is appropriate now, if you would like to. Yeah, because if nobody speaks, then I will be calling for the vote. So now, if you want to speak on the issue, now is your time.
Now would be the time.
Now is the time.
First of all, last time I spoke, nobody could hear me. So can you hear me? I'm going to turn around and I'm going to ask you the same question. Can you hear me now? That rocks, then I will talk. Okay. I rise in support, and by the way, if I move the microphone, holler at me and let me try again. Thank you. I rise in support of overriding the mayor's veto of Resolution 160. For me, this has been an easy decision. In analyzing the situation, I've come up with a solid dozen reasons to support overriding the veto and none in support of it. I will try to be brief tonight and limit myself to my big three. First, the 3-5 requirement that is the focus of this resolution costs the city money, potentially lots of money, because it will preclude many lowest responsible bidders from receiving the contract. It may even put us in breach of our fiduciary duty. Second, the 3 and 5 requirement can be described with one simple and quite ugly word: redlining. Typically, the term refers to refusing to provide financial support to people of color because they live in an area deemed to be of poor financial risk. Historically, it's been used to support structural segregation by disadvantaging one class of people, people of color, at the expense of another class of people, white folk. Here, I've expanded the concept beyond its usual application to race and segregation. Applied to municipal construction contracts, redlining means structuring bid requirements so they favor union shops and shut out non-union ones. When one strips away all the union talk about look at over here, look at our great apprenticeship program, the underlying reality is blindingly clear. The purpose of the 3-5 requirement is to restrict the award of construction contracts to union shops. It's a red herring, or perhaps better put, a redlining herring. It serves no useful or necessary purpose. Third, if allowed to stand, the 3 and 5 requirement will create blowback in the form of reducing the availability of valued local companies to help the city out during emergencies such as sewer breaks. If people feel dissed, they turn away from the folks who are doing the dissing. This is only human nature. We already have city employees saying off the record that the pool of local companies ready, willing, and able to help the city out would be reduced dramatically for both moral and practical reasons. We shouldn't be shafting our longtime friends. I will close with some thoughts about the mayor's veto. Throughout my tenure on the Common Council, I've been a strong supporter of Mayor Noble. He's done great things for our city. On this issue, though, I disagree with him, and I also believe that he's not done a good job of explaining his position either to the Common Council or to the public. This has created an optics issue, and so I invite the mayor to meet with the Common Council to explain his decision in a spirit of candor, transparency, and goodwill. I think it would do a world of good for us all, the Common Council, the city, and the mayor himself, if he would sit down with us, explain his decision in a way that makes sense, and clear the air. Governments can't function well without trust. We need an injection of that here. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Bob Dennison.
I rise to let you know that I'm going to be voting yes on this resolution to override the veto. I believe that Resolution 204 of 2022 is fatally flawed. And I think it's very important that we rethink this and redo this in such a way that enables us to have a defendable apprenticeship program for the application to all of our work. And I don't think that that Resolution 204 does that job. So while I will vote to override this veto, the issue is not over, and I want to continue to talk about a new resolution with a stronger apprenticeship program overall.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. I echo my two colleagues here. I just would like to point out to some folks, I heard some things that are not correct, if I heard them say these things. We are not voting to remove apprenticeship
laws or requirements in general. We've had these on the books here for over a decade. We're simply talking about one rule that we've discovered has some potentially deep flaws. All we're talking about here is trying to remove a rule that is disadvantaging certain parties. It's not a union issue, as Mike Ham pointed out. So it's not a question of whether we're in favor of unions or against unions. We're simply talking about one particular rule and its effect. Our goal is to have quality apprenticeship programs. Our interest is in having really well-trained workers. And so we want to work toward that end. A number of us have already done a lot of research, talked to many different parties involved, and we have faith that we'll be able to come up with some good regulations, some good guidance, so we can ensure quality apprenticeship programs, the development of quality workers going forth into the future.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderman Drew Andrews.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So I've heard that in general in my conversation that both sides are doing fairly well, and tonight's vote won't, make or break anyone. But with that in mind and with the conversation, let me start out by saying that I do run a local, what they call mom and pop nonprofit organization, and it does take blood, sweat, and tears to keep it going, especially when you have long-standing, nationally funded, well-known other nonprofits. Like, I really get what it really takes to run this and put the time in. For over 25 years, I've been doing this work, and there's no rest for the weary. I've had many conversations and done numerous research and interviews with union and non-union members and about this resolution. And I've thoroughly considered the perspectives of both sides regarding Resolution 160. And I looked at it and I said, okay, we have non-unions. And I had a great talk with Val Dwyer, which is the non-union. And they have over 50 years within community, is valuable and has open shop, and their testament to hard work and to sustainability of their business and what they've done for our community is without question. Their certified apprenticeship programs is recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor, offers rigorous classroom training and hands-on real-time experience with real equipment in the field. And they don't have the facilities that our union, the union that I met with, has, but they do the work, and they are certified by the DOL. Then there's the union. I visited another union, A25, had a conversation with Mike Ham, and then to see what they offer their apprentice. The union invests over $2.2 million annually in training, ensuring members has access to training almost like 7 days a week. They're improved, at least this is part of the conversation, improved workers' rights and job security. All union members have access to a wide range of equipment and tools and technology. Another thing I like is that there's some voice. People have voice and decision-making in terms of employees. The union programs are trade-specific and offer state-of-the-art equipment and rigorous, multifaceted training. On another side, there's something that's offered that I also made note of, that there's something called the MAP program. And my life is about how to make sure that the workers that we support as the employer have well-rounded, I call wraparound kind of services for them. And this thing called the MAP program that the union shared with me is the Member Assistance Program addressing issues like alcohol abuse, drug abuse, mental health, divorce, and suicide prevention. Another thing that was was really great for me to hear is the diversity in the workforce and the work that's being done to diversify the workforce. It's very important for our community. The workforce needs to represent the community in which you are working. So unions are actively working on recruiting diverse workforce and provide classroom training and tabling in schools and community centers. This is what I hear, and to me that meant a lot to me, because I work with a community that lack the connection to what really matters in their life, so they can have, so equity is first and foremost. Equity, inclusion, and diversity is really important in this field as well. There's a common ground for both sides. Being that I work with young people all my life, one of the most important things I think we can all agree upon is that education and to stay updated on the latest technology, training, and graduation rates are the most important thing. It's not one without the other. It's all of it. It's very important. Apprenticeship, which is both sides, the apprenticeship program provide a career path for youth, benefiting individuals, families, and community. Both union and non-union programs are professional and structured, each offering unique opportunities for our community and the youth and different apprentice workers. Both sides emphasize apprentices keeping journals and logging hours for skill development. There's so much that I had to take in, and this is like literally out of left field. I knew nothing about this until I spoke to most of the common council members, spoke to the union, non-union. I mean, I used to be part of a union, and they saved my job. It was didn't like to spend the extra money, but at the end of the day, it was kind of worth it. And then there's the misinformation that's out there that's kind of going back and forth. So by considering these points, I aim to support the veto of the resolution as we work expeditiously to make changes that will benefit both sides. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else on the question? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, and then Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you, Madam President. Since we don't have a revised resolution before us tonight that the committee has worked on, I am keeping with my original no vote. I will be voting no against vetoing this resolution. I believe that strong apprenticeships are ones that graduate the workers, and this is an investment in the future of the city of Kingston. It is not proven that the apprenticeship language will cost the city more money. And if it does cost the city more money, I am still in favor of the strong language, as again, it is an investment in our community, an investment in our workforce, and an investment in our children. Thank you.
Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sure it's no small exaggeration for me to say I've spent more time thinking about this over the last week or so than probably any other vote we've had in quite some time. I appreciate the conversations I've had with outsiders, council members. I appreciate the work that's been going on inside the council, meeting with groups, maybe not to everybody's satisfaction all the time. And sadly, it's not sadly, it's a good thing. Living a long life here in Kingston, you get to know a lot of people, and I have some really good friends on both sides of this aisle. And but it's really not coming down to that, as Mike says. It's not, we're not trying to pit one against the other. And I've said this time and time again. What we're looking for is a compromise, something everybody can live with. That's hopefully what we're working towards. And I say,
this is coming from my heart, and I'm saying this, from my heart. I think removing that section from the legislation will enable us to move forward quicker with an agreement with everybody. I think it will level the playing field somewhat, and I really believe in my heart it's going to help us reach an agreement that's going to be satisfactory to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else? Alderwoman Rita Worthington.
Thank you, Madam President. So I stand because I will be a yes vote on overriding.
I'm sorry, Rita, can you just take the, thank you.
Yep, that better? I will be a yes vote on overriding the mayor's veto. I come from a philosophy where, not only should everyone be allowed to sit at the table, but they also should be able to eat. And removing the language or amending this law, it boils down to one thing for me, that it will not hurt union members, but it will hurt non-union members. And that's the only thing that I can think about. It has nothing to do with us removing the apprenticeship programs, has nothing to do with training. It just boils down to who will get the bid and who will not. And if we keep it the way that it is, or if we let this veto stand, there's going to be some workers that will not be able to work, and some non-union shops that will not be able to get bids. And so that's what it boils down to for me. Listening, we had union members come in and speak to us. We had non-union members come in to speak to us. So we're not arriving at this decision lightly. We've heard all of the sides. And I think as a common council, I think our job is to protect all of the constituents that we represent. And so that's why I'll be a yes vote in overriding the veto. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderwoman Sarah Passy.
Thank you very much. I want to say that in the month since the last council meeting, I've been researching apprenticeship programs, requirements in communities across the state. I've visited a training facility for the sheet metal workers, Local 38, and I've spoken with a lot of people. The people to whom I've spoken have included representatives from the groups that would have us uphold the mayor's veto, as well as others that would have us vote to override the veto, removing the last sentence of the resolution stating that each apprenticeship program must verify a minimum of 3 trade-specific graduates each year for 5 years. Clearly, whatever the council chooses to do tonight, we are sure to disappoint a number of people. I continue to believe, as do some of the other council members here, that further research is necessary for the council to come to a final resolution on this matter that offers the fairest possible solution, one that supports full access to bidding by a variety of contractors, that ensures that we are getting the best possible quality work done in our city, and that provides excellent training opportunities for Kingston-based apprentices. I'm voting tonight to override the mayor's veto, largely for 2 specific reasons. The version of the law that has been in place since November 2022 has precluded smaller businesses that cannot meet the graduation requirement from bidding on city contracts, providing an advantage to businesses that have access to larger training programs. And the version that has been in place since November 2022 has resulted in higher costs to Kingston taxpayers. Since the council is responsible for the oversight of the city's budget, we have an obligation to ensure that the city is not paying more than necessary for its services. So I support overriding the mayor's veto, voting yes, with the understanding that further investigation will continue in the next few months so that we can develop the best possible legislation going forward regarding apprenticeship programs. I would like to thank everyone who has spoken to the council, both the last meeting and this meeting, and people who have spoken to me personally for their time and energy that have spent educating me and other members of the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, I will call for the vote. So a yes vote is to override the mayor's veto, and a no vote is not to override. And I'll ask you to raise your hands and also be aware that we need to have a supermajority, which would be 6 of you, to override. So all in favor to override Resolution 160? And opposed? The veto is overridden, 6-2. Nope, 7-2. The two dissents were Drew Andrews and Michelle Hirsch. Thank you. Moving to resolution number 169, please.
President Schott.
Yeah, if we could take a 3-minute pause if anybody wants to leave. I think most people were here for that. So we'll take a 3-minute pause. Thank you. All right, that was a long 3 minutes, more like 5. So if everybody could get back to their seats and we'll start up again. Come back, council members.
Tommy, soon. All right. You got it.
That's right, I forgot you were there. Yep. All right, council, we're going to start up. We're back in session. Resolution 169, please.
Resolution 169 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the transfer of $2,632 in the civil service budget to cover overages.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 170, please.
Resolution 170 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the transfer of $52,000 in the police department's budget to cover the expense of vehicle maintenance and medical exams.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 171, please.
Resolution 171 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Ulster County Sheriff's Office pertaining to the transfer of custody of arrestees for arraignment before the Ulster County Centralized Arraignment Part located at the Ulster County Law Enforcement Center.
On the question, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in favor of this resolution. We on the Common Council, I think I speak for all of us, had not realized that when police officers at the state, local, in between levels arrest somebody, previously they've had to actually find a judge or a defense attorney to deal with the arraignment process. So this creates a system that I think is going to be much smoother. It's going to be much better for the arresting officers who can get back on the street more quickly. It's also going to be better for those who are arrested. They will be able to get through the system much more quickly. So I'm very much in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 172, please.
Resolution 172 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for adding Department of Public Works charges to the 2024 property tax bills.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 173, please.
Resolution 173 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for adding Building Safety Division charges to the 2024 property tax bills.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 174, please.
Resolution 174 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting the Common Council to accept the 2022 audited financials as prepared by RBT CPAs.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 175, please.
Resolution 175 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the sale of a portion of Jervis Street according to Code Provision Section 355-63.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 176, please.
Resolution 176 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending the appointment of David Niles to the Board of Assessment Review.
On the question? Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Fletcher and I will be recusing myself.
Can you give a reason?
Yeah, this is a relative of mine.
Okay. There's a recusal on the question. Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Yes, I just rise to thank David Niles for stepping forward to take up this position. It's a really important one in the city, has a lot of responsibility, so we appreciate very much his doing this. So, yes.
Anyone else? Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0 with the recusal. Moving to Resolution 177, please.
Resolution 177 of 2023, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the City of Kingston, New York, removing handicap parking on Belvedere Street.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. That concludes our communications. Before I open it up to any of you, I would like to close the meeting in memory of two different people. The first is Ms. Helen Scheffel. Helen was a Kingston native, a graduate of Kingston High School from the class of 1952. She also worked for the Kingston City School District as a monitor for many years. You also may have recognized her as an election inspector for many, many years here in the city. I knew Helen because she was a very active member of the Church of the Comforter on Winecoop Street, which is where I got my first job and moved back to the city of Kingston as the music director. And I got to know Helen in my 10 years with the church. Really just wonderful person, and her family is wonderful. So my condolences to Helen's family. I would also like to close in memory of Dennis Weiss. Dennis didn't live in the city of Kingston, but I know a lot of us knew him. Dennis was the town of Kingston town clerk, truly a public servant, never needing the attention, always doing the work in the backgrounds, just really fabulous human being. Dennis served in the United States Navy for 5 years. He worked for the New York State Bridge Authority. I always loved seeing his smiling face when I was crossing the Rhinecliff Bridge. I also knew him, I've known him for a very long time because he was my former softball coach. And actually, my dad was the former softball coach of his daughter. And also, you probably know him best as Megan Weiss Rowe's father. He passed away a couple weeks ago. So my condolences to the Weiss family. Is there anybody else? Steve Shabbat?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I'd like to close in memory of a neighbor of mine, Jeff Broido. This is going to be very brief. He didn't have an obituary in the paper, so I can only speak to my conversations with him. Which have been numerous over the years. He's lived on our street about 12 years. A very quiet guy, a self-proclaimed hippie. Looks like you would expect an old-time hippie to look. Fun to talk to. We talked mostly about politics. That was about it when I saw him. But very nice guy. And I just found out he passed. So I won't have a neighbor to speak to any longer down that end of the street, but I just wanted to say a couple words on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I will hear a motion to adjourn. Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Carl Frankel. All in favor? Opposed? We hereby stand adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 7:30.